Hello, and welcome to Confessions of a Serial Hobbyist, where every episode is a deep dive into curiosity, obsession, and the joy of trying something new. I have a habit of falling headfirst into hobbies, researching, learning, and sometimes overthinking the process just to see where it leads. This podcast is a collection of those stories, lessons, and experiences shared honestly and without judgment. If you're someone who's always chasing the next interest, you'll feel right at home. So this is episode one of hopefully a series of podcasts based upon my need for multiple hobbies, for bouncing around from thing to thing. Um, this podcast is definitely my newest hobby, and I'm doing it because it was brought up as a suggestion, kind of a joke by my wife, talking about doing a podcast with our daughter. And she's at school right now, and I cannot wait to get that going. So here we go. Uh, I had a lot of hesitation in hitting that record button. I'll tell you, I've been procrastinating for some time now, running through samples and tests and seeing how this looks and feels. And just decided here we go. It's time to do it. So if you're watching the video version of this, the video podcast, you're going to see me messing around with notes and papers and whatnot, even though I have a nice background, blah, 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 all that good stuff to look good on video. I'm not going to edit this and keep it a pristine, clean studio look. This is going to be more of like a newscast of sorts. Just going through my notes here. So, big hesitation because I don't like how my voice sounds in recordings, as most people don't. I'm not sure if this is going to be something that people are going to want to listen to, and I'm sure there's some folks out there, and I'm looking forward to maybe expanding this and having people come on and doing a interview style podcast. So, and have some more interesting things, crazy things, stuff. A lot of you out there, I'm sure, have some really cool stories, and I'd kind of like to see some of that or hear some of that. So bear with me on that. I'm just hoping that this has some entertainment value. I don't expect me to be the next big wonder as far as podcasters go. This is more of a hobby, just to kind of get out there and give it a shot and see what happens. So I'm thinking the Serial Hobbyist thing sounded like a fun title because my wife always jokes about how I am essentially a serial hobbyist because I have done a lot of things over the years. I really, and my biggest issue is I really just go all in on a project. I just start dealing with the obsession of the journey, if you want to call it that. Not so much the outcome and the project itself. Like this podcast, the most enjoyable part for me was really the whole setup of getting the audio figured out, podcasting software. I mean, some of the recording items I had, like the mic I bought for doing voiceovers for YouTube videos. I do a little bit of woodworking. That's one of my countless, like 24 plus hobbies I've had over time. And I did some voiceovers, and I wanted to do a little more quality audio for that instead of in the garage working around power tools and equipment. So that's my the thing is setting everything up. That's that I get a lot of joy out of figuring all those challenges out, and I really enjoy that. And this part is the uncomfortable part. Is I'm not doing videos in the garage is one thing. These little short cheesy how-to YouTube videos. That's because I'm busy. I'm doing something. But here I am literally just looking at the camera and through the camera to the viewer, and for those listening in their car on the way to work, or headphones on your phone, it's a little different. I'm speaking to you through an electronic device. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I spend a lot of time in the car. So this is something that I'm wondering if I would listen to myself. There's a lot of self-doubt in something like this. But at the end of the day, I would say we're going into our some other show notes or another page here. Just do it. As the old Nike ads said back in the 80s and early 90s, just do it. Just get out there and give it a shot. See what happens. A lot of times, getting into something new, my biggest challenge, my biggest fault, I suppose, is what a lot of people call analysis paralysis. You're just so involved in the research and wanting to make the perfect choice, the perfect decision. Don't want to waste a lot of money, don't want to spend a lot of money, just a ton of research and too much. Just when you're getting ready to pull the trigger, now we start to think about, well, do I really need that? Or if I'm getting that, should I get this? Or is this good enough to start? I'm recording this on a $62 condenser mic that included the boom arm, not the XLR cable, because I had some of those kicking around from again, other hobbies, other projects. So I did buy a podcast, a Zoom, what is this thing? The Zoom PodTrack P4. I got it for a pretty good price at Micro Center for it was normally $150, $149. I got it for $125, I believe, on sale. And I just needed an interface to work with this. I didn't want to run through USB in case I ever need to add another mic to do an in-person interview, which I think would be a lot of fun. Because I enjoy listening to those, whether it's a video podcast or just in the car. It's just fun to listen to a conversation between two people, face to face. It's enjoyable. It's neat to watch the interaction, and how they bounce conversation off each other. Growth and improvement over time. I have talking points. I started writing a script out, and it just became just cumbersome. I found Google Keep works well with PC and mobile device, so I'm able to, depend on where I'm at, if I need to add notes, if I need to throw an idea on somewhere, they sync together, and I'm able to add ideas at any given time. So, yeah, don't mind me. This is a little dry mouth, because this is it's a little nerve wracking. I am a little nervous with this one, because this is a new thing again. But back to the point. I'd like to become more comfortable having a one-on-one conversation with you, the listener, you, the viewer. Not rambling, not just flowing, and learning to get better at this. Have ideas flow more smoothly, I should say. So I do have some ideas, because again, I use AI for kind of growing ideas. I do this a lot at work. I'll input a lot of ideas and points and things that I want to discuss, talking points, and just have a co-pilot or chat GPT just kind of spit some stuff out just to organize my thoughts a little better, because my issue has always been is just putting words on paper is a challenge at times, because I'll again, I overthink it. I analysis paralysis and just overthinking things. I'll start typing out, I'll get a few sentences out, and then it's just like it doesn't flow right, it doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right. So I delete, and then I type a little bit more, and it's just I just get aggravated and delete the whole thing, and then we start over, or I just give up. So I've been utilizing AI to help me develop these talking points and prompts to make things, speed things up a little bit, because it's just, for me, I waste a lot of time second guessing what I'm talking about. So again, I do have this laid out. I had a script. I typed a whole bunch of stuff out, which we'll get to later on, is we start talking about one of my first hobbies that I can really remember, where I really got involved with it. And it just, train of thought just derailed here. And this is what I was talking about. This is why I need to organize, because I started going off on a little tangent here. But I used the AI to kind of to streamline things and keep me on point. Because again, I typed a script out, and it was just the main ideas of what I wanted to discuss. And I run the time on it, and it's like 6 minutes. I felt like I was typing for a couple days, and I thought I had a good amount of information. And no, not so much. 6 minutes worth of stuff. So back to taking that and then some bullet points and ChatGPT. Here we go. So it's not a detailed script that I'm reading from, because with the exception of the intro is absolutely off a script, because you can tell, you can hear it. It's not very, it doesn't flow. It's very organized, coherent. I'm not having any trouble with thoughts and spitting the words out. So yeah. So the rest of this, that's why I'm all over the place. But again, my talking points try to keep me where I need to be. So we go back to, I don't know, we look at childhood clues, where it all started, kind of where my curiosity, maybe my not really sticking with one thing for very long, and just kind of bam, 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 trying something new, something different. So I had, back in school, I played Little League for probably a season. My dad got me into it. I just hated it. I absolutely hated it, because again, the structure, I'm not a fan of structured, organized sports. Watching sports is one thing. I can sit down, watch the Bears, since I'm from the Chicago area. I got no problem with that. Watch other games every now and then, but playing organized sports, for me, it's just, I did softball for a little bit with the neighborhood dads. Had a lot of fun doing that. That was okay, but like organized for school sports just wasn't my jam. I the Little League, again, I hated it, because I felt like I had to be there. I had to perform. I liked being there at the Little League field, hitting the concession stand, getting the Swedish fish, the Tombstone pizza out of the toaster oven. That part was enjoyable. Going to the grade school basketball games every now and then, because my friend of mine, his brother played basketball, and again, hanging out with friends, hitting the concession stand, that was enjoyable. That was fun, just hanging out, and not until probably I got into high school, I tried track for a little bit, the practices. I mean, they want me to practice on the weekend. I don't have time for that. I got to hang out with my friends. Wrestling, I think I might have showed up for one tryout maybe, and they told us again, practice workouts on weekends. No, not happening. Uh, I mean, I did stuff after school with guys I went to school with. We played. I think we did Car Wars. I think was one of the role playing games back in the day. Maybe a little BattleTech. I want to say we did. Just real, not real in depth, but just a after school stuff with friends, man. I enjoyed that. And then I got an intramural flag football. I had fun with that because it's essentially a bunch of guys just goofing around having fun. It was organized to an extent, so at least we could finish a game. But that was fun. That was fun because it wasn't that serious. We didn't have practices after school on the weekends. We didn't have to travel for events and tournaments and games and all that. I wanted to hang out with my friends. So my high school years were very casual. A lot of just again just hanging out, having that social freedom. Yeah, and that's what hanging out back then. I mean, it was different. So we're talking, grade school was the mid to late 80s, 1986. I want to say I graduated from 8th grade. Wait, yeah, 86, and then started school, high school. So late 80s up until 1990. I mean, that was my school career, and that was the best days, man. Coming from here we go back to the Gen Xer. That's what we did, man. We started out, we had no internet, we had no cell phones. I mean, we thought it was the coolest thing when pagers came out. I remember having a pager, and you're driving around, little Motorola, beep 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 beep. Here we go. All right, got to go find a payphone. Let's go find a gas station. And then I got to worry if I got pocket change to make a call. It just, having that freedom of not being tied down, not having those expectations of social media. It's just, it was a different time. It really was. I just, again, and some of the stuff that we got away with back in the day, we did not need social media to show people what we were doing, because that probably wouldn't have ended well for anybody. But yeah, that was hanging out was fun, man. Riding your bikes to a friend's house, just walking around to the uptown area, going to the local delicatessen, the local deli, grabbing a sandwich, a Coke, and just walking around, man, hanging out, just causing just general chaos. Nothing horrible, break a window here and there, or maybe do something you probably shouldn't have been doing. But, knock on wood, fortunately nobody died. Nobody got seriously hurt. But part of growing up, we lived through it. We made it, and it made us who we are today. So we can kind of go back to my first real hobby, I think, per se, was I can't even tell you what age we were. We were young. We were, I want to say, probably maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, right around there. I don't know. It might have even been a graduation gift. Now, it was before, I want to say it was before high school. So anyway, we got, my aunt had bought the kids, the oldest cousins, there's 3 of us, Schwinn bicycles. I want to say it was, I don't know if it was completely my aunt or my parents were involved. I was young. I just got a new bike. Holy shit, this is cool. And she was a very avid biker. Did a lot of big bike rides. A lot of really cool stuff, like Bammy bike across the magnificent miles of Illinois. It was like a 400 something mile bike ride. I mean, she rode a lot. She did Ironman triathlon, was her one of her life goals, and she accomplished it. So I mean, it was a big thing. And that was some of my earliest memories where we actually went on some trips with these bikes. Now these Schwinn's back in the day, they were 10 speed. So I mean, it was like, these are the bike, man. It's a 10 speed. It's a touring bike. Holy cow. This is like, it's a far cry from my Huffy BMX bike I had, ripping down the alley through the gravel and wiping out in the bottom and then picking gravel out of my knee. But they're heavy. Not the composite aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber, 6-pound things you could lift with one arm and sling over your shoulder and run up a mountain with. So that was that. We went on a lot of rides. We went to I want to say Trenton, New Jersey, to Towson State University. Did a big ride up there, not like long ride, but we went up through Philadelphia. We got to see the Liberty Bell. A lot of cool stuff. And then we did other rides, Apple Cider Century, which we didn't do the Century, the 100 miles. We did, I think the longest one we may have done might have been 25 miles. We did a couple of those, so that really, that was something. I was in good shape, did a lot of riding, and I got to a point in high school because my parents had their vehicles to get to and from work. So we didn't have an extra car for me to go farting around in, driving to a friend's house and doing all that. So I would actually ride my bike. And at this point, I graduated from the Schwinn to a rally touring bike, which was 18 speed, maybe, give or take. A lot lighter. I want to say it was an aluminum frame. So, I mean, this is something you can sling over your shoulder and go. And I used to ride to a friend's house. And it was, I don't know, maybe 10 miles, 7 miles, something like that. And I'd ride to his house. We'd go hang out, play video games on his Commodore 64. Go just mess around. He built models, and he had a working model of the USS Bismarck that had an actual motor and a prop. And we took that out to the creek and the forest preserve, and it ended up sinking and it disappeared and not to be seen again. So yes, the Bismarck did sink. And, but I rode my bike to and from, and that's how I got around, but that was, that kind of like, I don't want to say that was my first real hobby, but not like the first one that I started spending money on, so, high school finishes, and then, me and a friend that I used to hang out with all the time during high school. We joined the Navy. We joined because it was kind of like one of those things, we felt it was something we needed to do because both of our dads were in the military. My dad was in the Army. His dad was in the Navy, and they both served in Vietnam. So they're both Vietnam vets. And, so it was the right thing to do, that and the fact that neither one of us had any real desire to do college. I had, at that point, again, because I didn't have a lot of, I want to say structure. I mean, don't get me wrong. My parents, they raised us right. We knew right from wrong, and did pretty well staying out of trouble for the most part. But we just didn't, I in particular didn't have any direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I knew I didn't want to go to college. I just knew I'd go to college and I'd just party. I had no desire to be, I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to be. So we joined the Navy, and frankly, that was it was something that I needed. And it wasn't a cakewalk. I struggled with the structure and the discipline. So, but I came around, and I have no regrets, and it really kind of got me onto a path where I needed to be as far as who I was. I want to say, still didn't have an idea what I wanted to do. I was a machinist in the Navy. And when I got out, it was CNC was starting to pick up. And at the time, I knew nothing about CNC. The ship that I served on, we had a small shop, had 2 large engine lathes, a small belt lathe. We had a milling machine, radial drill press, uh, couple band saws, and I'm trying to think what else we had. Sandblast cabinet, but no CNC equipment. So that was something that I had no experience with, no education with. So and that's a whole nother story as far as after I got out my career paths to where I am today. It's just I've been kind of all over the place as far as jobs, and honestly at 53 years old, I still don't know what I want to do for a living. Not gonna lie there. I don't have a clue. I've got a good solid job now with the railroad. But at the end of the day, if I had choices to make, I don't know if I'd work here or work somewhere else. I don't know where I would be. I really don't. This is just kind of the path that I ended up on over the years. But we can get into the first big obsession. I think, I went down that path. The first hobby, back to that, as an adult with adult money, I want to say back in would have been probably 99-ish, 99, 2000, somewhere right around there. My father-in-law found this motorcycle. It was a little two-stroke I want to say it was a 1970 or a 72. I think it was a 70 Suzuki Hustler, 90cc smoke machine, man. This thing tires were dry rotted. The thing smoked like nobody's business because it was a two-stroke. So it had the gas tank and then it had a separate tank for the oil. And I'm sure the mix was way off because literally this thing looked like a mosquito abatement truck when it would go down the roadway. It was just, it smoked up ridiculously. It was fun. It was a lot of fun though. Definitely not something you want to take really over 45 miles an hour because it's not going to end well. But I had that for a little bit and I thought that was pretty cool. And then I thought, well, heck, this was fun. So maybe I'll get another motorcycle. So I do. I get a Virago. Oh dear, what was it called? Yeah, it was a Virago, Yamaha Virago, 250, and I got the 250 because my father, Harley guy his whole life, mostly. He had a couple other bikes over us growing up, Honda Shadow and a British bike. I forgot what it was now, but anyway. So he told me I should get something small, and I frankly I should have gotten like a 600, 650, something like that, but I got a 250. And again, it was a cool little bike. The Virago is, I mean, I think they have like a 454, something like that. But the Virago, it was a cool little bike, man. It was I want to say it's a single cylinder, and the thing was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. It was almost like a small dirt bike as far as how it felt. I mean, you could really get stupid with it because it didn't weigh anything, didn't have a lot of get up and go. But again, it was something fun. I if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have gotten a 250. That was a mistake. Yeah. So, but I had fun with it. And then after the Virago, traded that in for the Virago was a 2003. I bought that new from the dealership, like $4,500 or something. I mean, if it was even that, maybe it was less, maybe it was 2,500. But that was back in 03, 04, whatever it was. And then, or no, it would have been 02, 03, whatever. So then I bought a 1994 Honda Pacific Coast. And this was an 800cc. And this one, a lot of people call it Baby Goldwing, a super scooter. The thing is, it looks like a little Honda Goldwing. It's it's like if a scooter and a Honda Goldwing had a baby, that's what it would look like. It had this big, stupid, tall windshield, and everything was enclosed. So needless to say, oil change was a real pain in the ass. But the cool thing about it was the passenger seat, the passenger compartment there was a latch under the fuel cap, the fuel lid on the tank. Because the tank you'd fill up underneath a cover, and there was a latch you would pull, and it would pop the trunk. There was a trunk. I think it opened forward. Yeah, it opened forward, and there was room in there for two full face helmets. I mean, it was a lot of space. It was really a cool bike, and the thing ran like a sewing machine. It was smooth. It was quiet. It was a 94, so it had, no bells and whistles. I don't think it would have even had heated grips. The windshield had a vent in it, and I don't even think it adjusted up or down. But it was it was fun, man. A friend of mine, he had it was a Dakar, I want to say. It was a dual purpose bike, like one of them big dirt bike looking things, street bike, dirt bike. Well, me and him rode out. We went out to Dayton from Chicago, Dayton, Ohio. We rode out there. I don't know, it was like a 7-hour drive. And of course, the morning we left, we ran into this nasty, nasty thunderstorm. It was pretty bad. He got beat up because that dirt bike thing of his didn't have a windshield. And I got this big windscreen in front of me, and I think I had lead on it at that point. I completely forgot he was getting the crap beat out of him by the thunderstorm, because we wanted to power through it. And it was probably a stupid thing to do, but we finally found an underpass and waited it out. But yeah, we camped out in some godforsaken little dump of a town. It was the weirdest thing, because this place it was like a Wiccan convention was going on this weekend. It was just some weird vibes, man. And this is back, I want to say we did this in 2008, 2007. It was when we had the cicadas in the Midwest, man. We stayed in this town, and it was weird, because we went into this restaurant. It was like a greasy spoon, in this small town, like any other main street in Illinois. Or actually, we were in Iowa, I think, at the time. No, Iowa. We wouldn't have been in Iowa because we were going to Dayton. I don't remember where we were. I'd have to look that up. But anyway, it was Green Valley or Green something. It was this place. It was, again, Main Street, USA, bunch of storefronts. We go into this place, though, because we want to get a burger. So we go in here, we sit down, and it's like new age, man. It's weird. It's weird. They got like candles, and I want to say they had that goofy new age windy wind chime music and stuff going on. So we sit down and we start looking at the menu, and so help me, it's nothing but like tofu and vegan, and just like, I'm like, are you kidding me? We both look at each other and we're like, yeah, no. I mean, literally, it's like a tofu burger. And this is before the meatless burgers, the Impossible burgers, before all that. And these things, we get back to that. Now, those are good. I like them. I like the garden burger type things. But yeah, this was like straight up tofu, vegan, health food, blah. So we both looked at each other. We're like, yeah, we're done. We're out of here. So we left. I don't know where we went after that. I just went and found somewhere actually that had some decent food, I suppose. So yeah, that was that bike, and and I got a few cool rides on that one here and there. Uh, and then I ended up finally in 2013, I want to say, I sold that bike and went to a Harley dealer, and finally, even though my dream Harley had always been, for whatever reason, a Harley Davidson Fat Boy, because I liked the dual bob tank, I liked the solid rims, solid wheels, the big meaty forks, and the giant nacelle headlight. I mean, that was all cool, but they're expensive, and I got a really good deal on this dealership. Works with the state police, so they lease the police department the electric glides, the police bikes. So they get them all kitted out with the lights and all that stuff. So they when the lease is up, they go back to the dealer, and now they sell them to the general public. And from what I was told, most of the bikes, they get bought by local shops as to convert into like custom bikes. They buy them, chop them up, and do all their stuff because they're a cheap bike. They're fleet bikes, so they're taken care of for the most part. They're solid. They've only been ridden for a year by the state police, and those men can ride, man. Let me tell you, the state police, they're good. They are some of the best on two wheels, as most motor officers are. So that's what I got. I got an old retired state police bike, and in Illinois at the time was black. They were black and white with, I want to say it had like a goldish tan pinstripe. I want to say it's been a while. I've got photos that I can go through, but yeah. So I had that for a while. Well, for quite a few years actually. And I went through being a vet, former military. I jumped in with the Patriot Guard for a while. Did quite a few welcome home rides. Did a few escorts, and I don't want to say unfortunately, but it was we did funerals. Take go to Abraham Lincoln, escort the families and or the casket, to the cemetery. So that was cool. That was a cool honor to be able to do that. So and unfortunately we did do a couple funerals for local law enforcement. That was, some of those were kind of tough, but it was something. Again, I was looking. The military is a whole nother story, and I know a lot of you guys out there that serve, whether you're combat vets or not. There's a something that you get in the military that you just can't find anywhere else. Not just the camaraderie, but just that feeling of belonging, that feeling of being part of something. And that's kind of, I think, why I chase a lot of hobbies and a lot of things I do, because I've never felt that anywhere like you do in the military. It's, I mean, the closest thing I have now is in the railroad, because we're a really tight knit group. A lot of really, really good people. And I think, again, that's probably the closest I've come. But and so that might be a lot to do with it. That really might. So I really enjoyed the rides. I used to ride it to work. And that sucked. I liked it to a point, but I'm telling you, riding, and this is before things have gotten as bad as they have with traffic and people in general, man. It used to be therapeutic, man. It really was. Depending on the shift. Now, when I was working like afternoons, going home at night, midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning, if I worked overtime or not, during the week, it was nice. Nobody on the road, just a good solid hour, just in my thoughts, but as working days, and I had several close calls with some of these idiots on the highway, just the people just don't give bikes any respect. And yes, before you beat me up in the comments, yeah, there's people on bikes that they give nobody else respect, and they shouldn't be on two wheels. That's 100%, 100%. It goes both ways. It's just unfortunate that you put a bike two wheels against four, the car's winning every time, no matter who's at fault. So, but yeah, I like riding out west. I'd get on the bike and just go spend 45 minutes to an hour and just head out west, out in the cornfields, and just get away from it all. Which and I loved that. I really did. But it got to the point though, it was not really fair to my family, because I'm out there doing my thing, relaxing, enjoying it, and they're at home. And that between that and the fact I was riding it less and less, I was done after a while. I got to the point where it was time to move on. And then sold it off, and we bought a Jeep Wrangler. So that way we could get more family time, which was fun. That was enjoyable. Again, it's another hobby. So here we go. Jeep Wrangler, that is a hobby unto itself. We didn't do a lot of crazy stuff because number one, it was a lease. And because at the time, it's just, I'm not dropping 40 grand on a Jeep. A Jeep Wrangler is a toy. I don't care what anybody says. It's a toy. It's, unless you live out in an area where you've got nothing but trails and fire roads, or a farm, or somewhere you really need a solid, capable four-wheel drive vehicle. For most of us, it's just a toy, and an expensive one at that, because you can spend as much money as you want to kit these out for any terrain, just anything. The sky's the limit, man. And I'd love to. I'd love to spend the money on, the 36-inch tires and the lift kits and the rear diff lockers and accessories. Oh yeah, in a heartbeat. But yeah, that wasn't where we were at. The Jeep was capable by itself, man. Let me tell you. And this was the new JL, not the JK. So at the time we bought it, and I'll be damned if I could tell you what year it was. I don't remember, because it would have been a 20. I don't know. It's when Jeep, I want to say it was the year or two after they went from the JK to the JL. Somebody help me out there, because I don't remember. But that was fun. I got it off road a couple times, and it was enjoyable. Could even there used to be an off road park up north of us, and in McHenry, and it was great. I kept up with all these guys with the lifts, the big wheels. I mean, and this thing was bone stock, had all-terrain tires, had no lift. I mean, it did well. I centered it once, high centered it once. I had somebody pull me off a big hill, dip, whatever you call it. I got a picture of it. That's somewhere too. But it was great. The downside was I get home, and I spent probably a good hour with my pressure washer getting all the clay and the crap out from underneath the frame that was jammed up in everything. My driveway looked like a bomb went off by the time I got done. There was chunks of clay and stone, and it was a project to clean all that crap out. And frankly, it was only a matter of time before I broke something and had to have it towed home, because I don't have a trailer nor a truck to pull it. All that good stuff that comes with that part of the hobby, because you go wheeling, it's only a matter of time before you break something, and now it gets expensive. So it's just, I wasn't ready for all that. And then, we got out of that, and I don't know if we went right from that to the Bronco, went through the Bronco, got rid of that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's kind of the two-wheeled experience here as far as hobbies and what got me there, I think. So this is the first of many hobbies. And again, some of them aren't so interesting. Some of them are kind of cool. Some will carry over into other ones, So looking ahead, I'm running this podcast again as my current obsession, my newest hobby. And as I've gotten 45 minutes into it now, I'm a lot more comfortable. I feel better about the storytelling, about just kind of things flowing. So I'm good with that. So for those who are watching the video, please throw me some comments, just what I can work on, what I did well, what I didn't do so well, maybe ideas. Again, if somebody wants to reach out, I don't know how it'll work because I've never done this. The software I'm using, I should fairly easily be able to have a guest. I think that would be a lot of fun to have a guest and interview a guest. So if you've got some really cool hobbies, I would be excited to bring you on and just get it out there. Talk about your obsession. I don't want to make this just about me. This because I'm going to run out of stories eventually. I've written down all my hobbies, and I literally have about 24 of them. Some of them were for a very short time. Some of them weren't that exciting and had really cool stories behind them. But I'm sure there are some amazing stories with some really cool hobbies, some really wild stuff out there. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Future episodes, I've got some other things planned. I don't know what this is going to look like as far as a rollout. I don't know if I'm going to do it weekly, bi-weekly, once a month. I don't know. I'd like to do it weekly. I'm not sure if I have the energy. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So pretty much that's about it. If let me know what you got. I don't know how this works once I put this on podcasting platforms. I'm not sure how the interaction happens as far as questions and feedback. I don't know. This is all new to me because even listening to podcasts myself, I don't really interact like that. I might give a review, thumbs up, cool, I liked it. But as far as interacting with the host, because I listen to fairly large podcasts, and they don't, unless I'm a Patreon, all that stuff, they don't have time for, and because they have thousands, tens of thousands of listeners. But that's why I'm also going to put this on YouTube. Just for that interaction, it's easier for me to answer comments and then to interact. So we'll see if we can figure something out. And for those listening, thanks for listening to Confessions of a Serial Hobbyist. And until next time, enjoy the journey. We'll see you on the next one.